For 2025, I had like 7 hours, less than 7 hours, less than 8 hours pretty much of sleep on average. But now, I feel like starting this month, I'm gonna trend towards like getting more than eight, which is great. As you can see, look, 9 hours, great. And also, I'm going by principle now of like putting the camera as close to the light source as possible to capture as much light, which maximizes the quality. Now, what is there to perceive? Because this whole series is just about like practicing being perceived, really. I think like that's like the bottom line, right? Because as time passes and more things happen, I kind of just realize on how uninterested I am on like everything else aside from just like outside of just recording and posting, pretty much. That is my main interest, and that will always be my interest. And I told myself that I would practice looking at the thing, but I don't know. Maybe just letting it happen, like just looking around, letting things be natural, instead of like forcing it. Or maybe I truly could just like dedicate myself to just staring into the camera, see what happens. By see what happens, I mean it's just practice. Maybe I could do it, but the problem is that I can see myself. There's like different sources of stimuli. I can see my like camera thing on like the recording software. So maybe if I hide myself away, then maybe it becomes easier. But where I just like stare at this thing. But as I stare at this thing, I can see the light as well. Anyway, what's up with me, huh? Same plan, same everything. Nothing to update really. Nothing interesting. And also, now I have to like figure out how do I like work out before like if you are someone who usually works out after like 12 a.m. and stuff, how do you like work out before that, you know? Because me, I need like total silence, total everything for me to like, achieve my routine because like I need space and to need space then I like wait, this thing. Wait, I could use this thing. So that I just block out every source of stimuli because I get overstimulated really, really quickly. So when I like work out and like I do like one rep, two rep, and then I hear like shuffle, shuffle here, shuffle, shuffle there, noise here, noise there, I just like stop entirely and go, okay, what's going on? Like I get distracted instantly pretty much. So I could like use this thing and you know, maybe it'll work. I'll see. I'll try right now actually after this recording. Anyway, what's up with me, huh? I'm watching a video about like philosophy, like the man who proved God real. It made me stop and think, on how about me? What are my views? What are my like, on the whole God thing? I see God as like a concept because like that's the whole thing, right? If God then omnipotence, then what is omnipotence? It is something that is beyond really. And I think that like, the whole like region ABCD is just like the human iteration, human comprehensible forms of omnipotence. But omnipotence is omnipotence. It is something that is grand, that is vast, and everything. And I did explore it, where like I participated in like retreat and stuff to like learn about like Christ. And as I learned about Christ, I learned about like how it's like grace based. It's not like con- there's no criteria or anything. It's just purely grace. Like you go to heaven for free and stuff, and that coheres to me really well, and that made me really really interested in Christianity. But as the retreat progressed, it kind of just devolved down into like Christianity. I realized there's a separation between Christ and Christianity. So like Christianity is like the one with like anti like a lot of things, but Christ is like the grace aspect. It was kind of confusing actually because they were kind of talking about like how like oh Christ is grace based and everybody is his creation, and like they make it clear that the principle is omnipotence, but then they follow it up with like oh if you're a woman then you gotta be like submissive to your husband and stuff, and I didn't really like that. And that's funny because like at the end of the retreat, people shared the testimonies and stuff, and the testimonies were just like a clash of like you know yeah, people that were just submitted to their husbands and stuff, bad things happen. So eesh. Hell, the intro of the whole thing was like some guy who cheated on his wife over and over and over, but it's okay because he found like God or whatever. And Yahoo for like the change, I guess. But like for every person that's like that, there's like 10 others that didn't. And there's and also 20 others that like ended really, really, really badly. It's just survivor bias. Like, is it like statistically dominant, considerable? Who knows? But at the very least, it does raise a percentage from like 0 to like 1%, I guess. But it's all catalytic at the end of the day, right? If people change, if they change, regardless of like what catalyst there is. But if truly for some reason the only catalyst that existed for them to stop was like the whole like religion thing, then sure, I guess. Yahoo. That's also the reason why I don't really like argue against it. Like I always like cheer. Oh, you know what? If you're faithful, you're faithful. That's it. Like I don't touch it. But anyway, on the whole philosophy thing, on like and the Christianity, and like on like exploring the thing. Me personally, yeah, like I said, I see God as like concept. I see like because it is omnipotent. The thing about omnipotence, I think in my heart, I feel like it's like arrogance really to like say that it is something that's perceivable, that is something like with clear descriptions, that we are like fixed entirely, pretty much, that we have fully cracked it. I feel that as time goes, technology progresses, we discover more sources of energy, more perspectives, more and collective cognition and um, cognition and wisdom, because it goes up over time. Who knows? Actually, I don't know, the charts are the trend, but you know, I wouldn't say that the caveman guy would like speak the same way I am. I think they'd focus more on survival. As resources get resolved more and more and more, people have more time to think, and as people are given more time to think, then they will ponder, they will contemplate, and as they contemplate, then collective wisdom, you know, turns up as they form their own conclusions and they participate in the game of variance, wherein they form their own cognition, and as they form their cognition, all within variance, whatever, it will all trend in like you know somewhere. Like, as I think about it, I don't really know if it's trending up, down, or flat. Who knows? But in my head, I would say that the point of variance, I think, widens. Variance would be like, everybody gets like giga wisdom. Everybody gets like negative wisdom, like backwards, whatever. But like, as people contemplate more, I think that range of variance gets wider, and that creates opportunity and potential for like, the reality that I'm perceiving, which is this thing, where like the collective wisdom reaches a certain threshold wherein like we evolve from where we are right now, and like in terms of like faith and religion or whatever. And maybe, who knows, maybe the end game is metaphysics, because maybe what I describe is just metaphysics at the end of the day. Who knows? It's hard to like speak on these things and these topics, because I struggle with like being perceived and stuff. So like I kind of like right now I'm like hesitating, even though like I know what's in my heart, what's in my mind, all of that stuff. But I hesitate because like, oh shit, I'm gonna like upload this and stuff, and then what? Feel like I'm gonna get steak, cross burnt, whatever, lynched. But I guess that's like the point of like of practicing this whole thing to begin with, right? Because like the struggle, is it social anxiety? Who knows? Because at first it was like aversion. No, at first it was just no. I was fine, really. I was curious, excited. Um, Rose tinted glasses, and then it became aversion, and then became withdrawal, and then after withdrawal, it just became like, you know what, go away, and like fear, I guess. And now I'm like trying to get, let's go back to principles. If I'm at this state, then I should like just practice, and then inevitably, just through raw physics, a threshold in me will just be broken, and over time I will grind it out, and I will be able to do more and more and more, rather than just being powerless entirely of any form of perception. So yeah, aside from the beginning, what do you think of God? Concept, simple as that. Please don't hurt me. Um, Anything else? And I'll end it there, because as much as I contemplate, it's just iterative, really. I think that's my latest iteration. My latest iteration of God is concept, because it is simply too vast. It is omnipotent by nature. So if I were to say that it is X, Y, Z, I would perceive it to be like a form of arrogance than anything. But who knows? Maybe there is like some fixed path, fixed variables. No, that beats the point of omnipotence. I think, yeah, I gotta stick to principles, right? What is omnipotence? Omnipotence is something beyond, and the point of beyond is something beyond. So me being three-dimensional and being aware that there are more dimensions, then maybe it is beyond my dimension entirely. Not just that, but the limitation of senses, and our senses that kind of define reality, right? Like there are textures everywhere. You could kind of lick the wall. There's a texture for the wall. There's a texture for feet. Like you can kind of lick the bottom of the feet. There's like a particular texture. Wall, floor, ground. Each of them had a texture. And as I think about it, I can feel it on my tongue. The taste of the dirt, taste of the stone, taste of the shoe, the rubber, everything. Taste of this wall, the taste of this computer, the taste of my hand. I can perceive all of it. But what's blocking the sense from actually, being sensed? And the answer is because of the limitation of this physical thing. Mm. Even though the taste exists and I can perceive and I can, like, imagine it, and I know it's there, it's not happening all at once. If it happens all at once, then it would just overload the hell out of me. So in that, example alone, it kind of proves that, the limitation of senses. And also, it also proves that reality is dictated by, the limitation of these senses. And since there's a limitation on hand, and the proof of senses like actually being real all at once, and just like being held back by limitation, then it proves that the word of proves limitation in oneself. And since there is limitation in oneself, then to say that omnipotence, to define it clearly with gusto and everything, is, I don't know the term, foolish, arrogant, I don't know, inappropriate, unfitting. I think in my brain, if I were to ask what the word is, it would just be inefficient, but I say it for everything. So I don't know, maybe that's like a better word. But for now, I would say that, yeah, to say that, you know, the great God is X, Y, and Z is inefficient. It's more efficient to say that it is omnipotent, and that it is beyond my senses because I am aware of my limitations. There we go. But like, yeah, I really gotta find words better than inefficiency because I always describe it for like everything. But that is kind of like really truly how I feel though. I feel like a lot of things are just bottled down to inefficient, and it's more efficient to like think, well, a certain way, I guess. So yeah, let me check the timer actually, because I'm practicing being perceived and whatnot. Okay, it's been 11 minutes, good enough. The goal is like 10 minutes, so there's that. I don't know what the title. I don't care. I'm just gonna say practicing being perceived too.